You may have heard the shocking news that Lewis Hamilton has signed a contract to drive for Ferrari in the 2025 Formula One season. But why has he decided to leave Mercedes now, a team he's been with for 11 years and has been associated with since his days in karting? In today's video, I'll explain all, but before I do, help support this channel by clicking the like and subscribe buttons below. All done? Thanks. Now let's get into it. So, there's more going on here than meets the eye. After news broke that Hamilton will be departing Mercedes for Ferrari in 2025, there was a lot of speculation about why Lewis is making this move. Could he be going to Ferrari because they made him an offer he couldn't refuse? Or could his opinion of the new Mercedes W15 be so bad that he's decided to go to pastures new? These are the main explanations and reasons you'll hear on sports channels and from F1 content creators. But these are low-hanging fruit. And if you want to get to the truth, you need to reach a little bit higher. The real reason Hamilton has signed up with Ferrari for the 2025 season is because he could see the writing on the wall. He decided to jump now before he was pushed. Let me explain. When negotiating his new contract with Mercedes, Hamilton was asking for a 3-year deal that would see him race with the team up to, and including, the first season of the new regulations in 2026. Mercedes were against this, as well as the post-racing ambassadorial role Hamilton wanted, and offered Lewis 1-year contracts instead. In the end, they both decided to compromise to some degree, with both agreeing on a 2-year deal with a release clause for the second year. This must have been absolutely heartbreaking for Lewis. For all of Mercedes' public talk about getting Lewis his 8th title, no matter what it took, they wouldn't even commit to him driving for them in the first year of the new regulations, which will probably be Mercedes' best chance to deliver Lewis a championship-challenging car again. After all Lewis and Mercedes had been through in the past 11 years, this personal rejection must have hurt and reminded Lewis that there are no friends in business. Even he, with all his success and publicity he has brought to Mercedes, wasn't valued enough by the top brass to be given a multi-year contract in his latter years in F1. However, the important part here is that Mercedes weren't willing to lock in Lewis for the 2026 season. In fact, some of the steps they were taking look like Mercedes may have been preparing to pull the rug from underneath Lewis come 2026. The fast-tracking of Andrea Kimi Antonelli from Formula 4 straight into Formula 2 for the 2024 season was one of these steps. If Kimi does well in F2 this year, then there's no doubt he'll be in Formula 1 in 2025, most likely in a Williams seat alongside Alex Albon. And if Kimi stacks up well against Albon, then what happens when Lewis comes back to Mercedes to negotiate a new contract for 2026 and beyond when his current contract expires? Any leverage Lewis had before has now gone, and Mercedes will hold all the cards. Was there even a need for Kimi Antonelli to skip Formula 3 and be promoted straight into F2 from F4? This sort of thing isn't like Mercedes. They usually allow their drivers to take the normal driver development path and work their way up the racing formulas. If they had stuck with this for Kimi Antonelli, then the earliest he'd have reached F1 would be in 2026, the first year of the new regulations. I'm assuming he wouldn't be given a seat in a top team in his debut year, so any promotion to Mercedes would most likely happen in 2027 at the earliest. This normal development path for Antonelli would have fitted in perfectly with Lewis Hamilton's desire for a 3-year contract with Mercedes, where the last year on his contract would be the 2026 season. So why didn't Mercedes do this instead? They would have had 2 perfectly capable drivers, in Hamilton and Russell, to take them into the new regulations, while their young prodigy, Kimi Antonelli, would be gaining much-needed experience in the lower formulas and then eventually a team at the lower end of the F1 grid. If the 2026 Mercedes car turned out to be no good, I doubt Lewis would stick around for another year, and so Mercedes could bring in Kimi to fill the second seat in 2027. It's almost as if Mercedes were intent on not giving Hamilton the opportunity to drive the 2026 car. If they were, they would have given him a 3-year contract. And this may explain why they are fast-tracking Kimi Antonelli's development. They're trying to get him ready to replace Lewis for the 2026 season. But why would Mercedes go down this route? Why would they not want their most successful driver to have a shot at the World Drivers' Championship with them when the new regulations come into effect? Obviously, something has changed at the top. Probably, some major players at Mercedes don't want him with the team in 2026. I can't yet bring myself to believe that Toto Wolff is one of these people, so it must be others, possibly Mercedes-Benz AG, the other co-owner of the Mercedes F1 team. It's possible Lewis's social activism and inclusion campaigns have rubbed some people up the wrong way. We've seen how crazy it's driven some fans, mainly anti-Hamilton supporters, And we saw the negative reaction from many in the F1 paddock during the 2020 season. We also know it drove the FIA to actively back and support Red Bull in 2021, so much so that they had to turn the final race of that season into a shambles to hand Red Bull and Max the championship. But it wasn't only the FIA that was involved in working against Hamilton. Others played their part as well. As one of my other videos shows, click on the link above if you want to see it. Sky F1 even doctored footage in one of their qualifying analyses in 2021 to make it look like Lewis had a faster car than Max. All this to create a narrative in fans' minds that persists years on, that Lewis had a machinery advantage. You have to imagine the disdain these major players in F1 must have for Lewis for them to have done the things they did just to prevent him from getting an 8th World Drivers' Championship. If Mercedes know that these players will actively work against them because Lewis is one of their drivers, then maybe they're thinking that if they want to return to winning ways when the new regulations come around, then he can't be part of the team in the new era. The release clause in the second year of Hamilton's contract with Mercedes was probably all he needed to know that he wasn't part of their plans anymore. And if Mercedes didn't want to lock Hamilton into a contract that would see him driving for them in the 2026 season, are they even listening to his feedback and desires with regards to the design of their cars? I guess we'll find out on the first day of testing, when we'll be able to see if Mercedes has changed the seating position in the W15. Thanks for watching. Help support this channel by hitting the like and subscribe buttons below. Till next time.